Thank you all for being here, and really it's such an honor to be on this stage with the two of you. My name is Emma Bloomberg. I'm the founder and CEO of Murmuration. We are a nonprofit that organizes a network of community-focused organizations across the country and provides them with data-driven insights, tools, and services so that they can build and activate power in communities across the country. It is, as I said, my great honor to be here today for this conversation. Today, we are talking about what principled and moral leadership looks like, particularly in this moment of social, political, technological change, right? Our whole world seems to change day in and day out, and yet moral leadership, I think, is all the more important today. I am joined by two who need no introduction, but I shall do it anyway. Dr. Bernice King, CEO of the King Center, one of the most important voices carrying forward the practice of nonviolent social change in our time. And Dr. Lomax, president of UNCF, who has spent decades fighting for educational equity and opportunity, particularly for marginalized students. Both have asked me to refer to them by their first names, which is going to be hard, but I shall try. So I would love to just open it up to each of you to tell the room a little bit about yourselves and your thoughts on moral leadership in this moment, and then I've got a stack of questions we can dig into. So Bernice, I'll start with you.
Well, obviously I've inherited a wonderful legacy of nonviolent personal and social transformation. And I'm honored to carry that legacy forward and help people to understand the power of nonviolence to create a just, humane, equitable, and peaceful world. You know, when I think about today, I think about something my father shared with us in his book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos of Community, in his last chapter called The World House. Actually, he forewarned us of some things. He talked about how we had made such scientific and technological advancement, but our moral and ethical advancement was not keeping pace. And that if we were not careful, that we were going to destroy ourselves in the misuse of our own instruments. And so he was calling for us to have a revolution of values, to switch our priorities, that we move from being a thing-oriented society to a person-centered society. And when we think about today's time, we've lost touch with the importance of humanity and dignity and justice. And when we make decisions, how often do we think about, what is not only the benefit of what we're innovating, but is there any harm that comes from it? And with that in mind, I think about now with the onslaught of all of these data centers. There's no careful and thoughtful and considerate understanding of how is this going to impact, not just in a positive way with AI and everything, but how is it going to impact humanity and dignity and issues of justice? And we have to be able to stand firm in making sure that we're keeping that in the center of everything that we're doing. And so when I look at leadership today, we seem to lack that kind of grounding. We need it for people to be able to hope again. They need to see examples of people who are willing to stand firm in truth and justice and not compromise and keep humanity at the center.
Well, Bernice, you said you inherited this. You also worked to understand what you inherited and to find ways of embracing it. And we chatted a moment backstage about, you know, when you really leaned into that, and maybe that will be something you'll share with us. I've been blessed to have watched your family model the kind of leadership that we're talking about. I gave Bernice a letter that her father had written to my mom 71 years ago, July 5th of this year. And it was a letter that he had written after he and your mom had visited Los Angeles, my home, and my mother and my grandmother hosted an event, a fundraiser, with black leaders at the Pacific Town Club. It was a sort of the Black Country Club on West Adams. But he said how important it was that he had the support of the community in Los Angeles for his work. And he also said that she wrote so insightfully about the work that he'd done, because she'd covered the bus boycott, gone down to Montgomery the year before to cover the bus boycott. I met Dr. King the next year on an earlier trip, and he came to our home, and my mom interviewed him, and I watched her do it. You know, modeling. Yes. Your family is a model for me, and it's been that way for 3 generations. I've known your parents, your grandparents, and your siblings. But most young people today don't get a chance to have that kind of modeling in front of them. And the modeling that they're getting is the modeling of designing AI. And you know, what's the most effective, efficient, cost-effective way of getting something done? It isn't how do we work hard to live our values. How do we even determine what our values are? So I think that in order for us to live purposeful lives, we have to have moral values, and we have to have values. And I think that it's taken me a lifetime to come to terms with what my real values are and how I live that every day. I think it's very hard for young people in this world today to have those same kinds of values and to focus their lives toward them.
Thank you. When we talk about leadership, we often also talk about courage, and courage can take many forms. In this moment in time of change, of uncertainty, of division, what does courage look like in leadership to each of you? I know, Michael, if you want to start this time.
You know, one of the things that I always counted on as a black person was that there would be allies who would stand with my community and support us. And I'm going to talk about one of those allies that is having a very challenging time in this country today, and that's American Jews. I was born in post-World War II Los Angeles. When the black and Jewish communities came together in Los Angeles, we formed a powerful alliance where 6% of the community was Jewish, 6% was black. But as we worked together, we were able to change our city. We were able to challenge restrictive covenants in housing that didn't allow blacks or Jews, Mexicans, or Asians to buy homes in certain communities. We took that all the way to the Supreme Court, argued by Thurgood Marshall. In my lifetime, we went from being victims of the Los Angeles Police Department and of excluded from jobs and opportunities in that city to electing our first black mayor, Tom Bradley. We couldn't have done that on our own, but we had to do it with allies. And you know, so one of the groups that I view really importantly as an ally, because we have shared values, is the Jewish community. And one of our initiatives at UNCF is entitled Tikkun Olam, which can be translated from the Hebrew to either mean to heal the world, but it also can mean interweave the world. And I think that as we think about what we have to do to change this world, we have to think about it as a bunch of weavers working together to create something that is what we have as an ideal. I can't do that alone. So I have to have partners, I have to have allies. And I don't believe black folks, and we never have done that all by ourselves. We've always had allies. One of the things I've had to learn to be is an ally to people who, as opposed to expecting allyship, to be that ally, to be that advocate. And sometimes that takes a level of courage, because to say it means that you're very often going counter to what is the prevailing view in your own community. So I think courage is really important. It's hard to muster. It's not a muscle that we build every day. And moral courage is something that is even harder to muster because sometimes we don't even recognize what it looks like, feels like, or is.
And I guess for me, it's about entering into the fray, into the fight, into the tension that exists in this time and being able to not be drawn into the violent tactics or the violent language, being able to hold the humanity of people in those moments. And as we teach in Kingian nonviolence, which we call Nonviolence 365 as a lifestyle, that not seeking to defeat anyone, but you're seeking to defeat the injustice. So being able to stand in that tense moment, but being grounded in a place of love so that you can speak truth in a manner that does not demean and diminish the dignity of another person. And so that takes courage because it's easy to react, it's easy to attack, it's easy to insult, to meet fire with fire, but it takes a lot of courage and strength to be able to speak from a higher plane and to bring a sense of sanity to the moment. And that's what I know I try to do via social media and everything that I do. And part of it is because I have understood that the weight or the negative power, because it is a power, of hate and anger, if it's not channeled correctly, with anger especially, can weigh on you more than what you're hating. And so Daddy was really, really right in that hate is too great a burden to bear. And so for me in this moment, it's about having the courage to stand in that place of love and compassion and stand in truth in a way that I don't create further harm.
You know, on that note, love. Love. Mm-hmm. And I remember living here in this city, being an elected official from the 70s until the 90s, and working with your mom, who I want you to speak about a little bit because she was a powerful moral leader in this community, not just the widow of a great man. Having said that, people would sort of diss that love talk. You know, like it was a weakness, it was not really the way to make change. And I often think of the great philosopher, Marvin Gaye, who was influenced by this, who said, war is not the answer.
That's right.
Only love can conquer hate. Now, he probably reached almost as many people. Yeah. But, you know, it was in the water, it was in the air, we believed it. I don't know how we get back to what love in that context means. It means respect, it means accountability, it means integrity, it means making a difference in the world. It doesn't mean a bunch of, you know, it doesn't mean what we would otherwise think of it. And I think that having the capacity to inform the world through love is really a tool that we're missing today because we have so much hate in the world and the voices of hate are so much louder than the voices of love. That's
true. But she said something earlier about we can basically create the world that we want. And if we have a vision of a certain world, in Kingian nonviolence, the means and the ends have to cohere. So if your goal, for instance, is the beloved community, then you know that the pathway of violence can't get you there because it's a descending spiral into destructiveness. And so it's practical too, because a lot of people think, you know, love is weak and sentimental and all of that. It's also intelligent because what the more hate or more violence does is it just keeps us in this ongoing cycle. And I know that nonviolence, which is undergirded obviously by love meaning, understanding goodwill towards all people, regarding the inherent dignity of all individuals, understanding that we are interrelated, that we're interconnected, that we're interdependent. When you accept those things or understand those things, it's easier to operate from the framework of love, because you know that the outcome you're seeking is something that is positive and uplifting for humanity as a whole. So you have to make your choice. If you want the cycle to continue, keep doing the violent stuff. But as Einstein said, we can't solve problems on the same level that we created them. And so we've got to change our method.
So you both are extraordinary individuals. We've spoken a little bit about other extraordinary individuals. Can we rely alone on a next generation of extraordinary individuals, or what can we be doing to build moral leadership and courage into our institutions, into our civic fabric, into our schools? What does it look like to make it more systemic and sustainable so that we don't always need to find that incredible individual?
I think we have to make investments in the things that we are divesting from now, which is social emotional learning, character building, and strength. I'm trying to remember my father's quote, and you should know it because it's in your realm. That has to do. Intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character is the true goal of education. Yeah. And so we have got to get to a place where we understand that that is just as important as everything else that we are building in young people. The second thing is, and I'm selfish in this, and I keep talking about it, because it's our work. I firmly believe that if we truly institutionalize in schools across this country through K through all the way through college, Kingian nonviolence, it will give us a framework for what my father challenged us to do, to live together as brothers and sisters, or be forced to perish together as fools, because it helps us to understand that we are a human family and that we operate from that framework first and foremost. And I'll close with this. There's this movie that I love called Planet of the Apes. There's several of them. I'm waiting for the next. There was a line in there that Caesar, the main ape character, said that was very intriguing to me, and it just hit me real deep. The rest of the apes wanted him to destroy, I think it was Koba, who was very violent and destructive. And he said to that group of apes, he said, "Apes don't kill apes." And the reason it hit me is because I was like, wow, what if we in humankind understood that we don't violate each other that way? What if we taught what that represents from an early age?
So, Emma, you and I work in K through 12 education, and there are a lot of characteristics of it which are great. There's a whole lot of testing and data collecting and impact assessing. And I think what we're talking about here cannot be computed in terms of data, numbers. It really is, how do we plant the seeds that will germinate and grow over lifetimes in individuals? I was touched by your dad. I still get very emotional when I think about his funeral at Morehouse. And repeatedly going over to Sister's Chapel, and I hope this isn't hard for you if I say it, to stand next to his casket with people who knew him very well, like Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, and see this man who I had first met when I was 9 years old and had followed his ministry for his entire life, rest of his life, and was there for his homegoing on my college campus. That learning, that experience has been inside me ever since. I haven't always been aware of it. I haven't always known it. I haven't always been able to tap into it. But I think that kind of experiential learning, that kind of modeling, and his modeling was to give his life, is what it's going to take for a hard-headed generation of folks to actually believe what you've said and what Marvin Gaye has told us. War is not the answer. Hate is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. And it isn't the sentimental love. It is the powerful love of affirming one another and connecting with them. And I want to thank you for reminding us of that today.
Thank you.
We are out of time.
Yeah.
This was an incredible honor. Thank you both for sharing this thoughtful conversation. Everyone here, I am sure, feels as moved as I do, and we should get off the stage because it's someone else's turn.